The nice thing about Kim and I both costuming Ghostbusters is that I can do the same project a couple of times. So what I'm going to do, today we're making a PKE meter holster. It's going to be all leather. I'm using, I think this is 8-ounce leather. It's relatively thick. It's just an offcut. I've already got a stencil set up. It's a super easy project. I know I say that almost with every project, but it's true. I've yet to find anything that I'm like, oh, that was difficult to do. None of it. Projects are as difficult as we make them, right? This is just tracing a thing, cutting out the thing. That's it, right? It's 2 pieces. It's 2 pieces, 6 screws, and some dye. It's not difficult at all. I can't see a thing of what I just wrote. So we're going to use a marker. All I'm doing is setting this down, tracing it out, and then I'm going to cut it out. It is legitimately that simple. I'm happy with this one. I may do a little more flourishes on the new one I'm making, just because. I'm not overtly worried about the marker here because the whole thing gets dyed black anyway. If I were going with an actual, like, a brown or a stain or something, I'd probably use chalk, but it is what it is. That barely fits. Now we're going to put this one here, trace it as well, cut them out, put everything together. It's actually an easy project. I'm probably going to put the patterns up online for those who actually want to play along. Digitizing is not always the easiest, but you know, it's not brutal. So that's it. 2 pieces. Now cut them out. I can use just about anything to cut this out. I'm using scissors because they're quick. And they don't want to take forever, you know? Why make things harder than it has to? A lot of people do that. I don't want to. Not a big fan of cutting off extra. I like using exactly what or taking exactly what I need. This one I'm going to have to actually cut these pieces out. Inside corner. Watch your fingers when you're using scissors. I'm saying that to remind myself. Do I have... Brought my punches over because I thought maybe I'd be able to punch some of this. Let's see. Take it out. Yes, it's not terrible. I could have just, you know, used my X-Acto or my utility knife, cut around it. Something to be said about the right tools for the right job. So I'm just now realizing I went through all the thought of, oh, I need all this stuff, and I got all the stuff I thought I needed. Forgot my beveler. So I'm going to need to go get that in a minute. Good enough. Okay. I am not beveling the inside of these edges because I want this to have kind of a nice seam on everything. The outside I can bevel, but I'm not going to bevel the inside. I'm probably just going to end up sanding all this together anyway, but got a weird bump here I don't like. I could have set all this up on the laser cutter and just laser cut the whole thing and just been done with it. Something to be said about a video where you just go, yeah, and then I push the button and walk away. So here's the difference between a beveled and skived edge and then just a raw edge. I still have this weird thing here, but you know, it still looks better than it did. Dremel wheel, sanding disc, completely cleans up this stuff too. So beveling just rounds over the edge a little bit. Burnishing, it's what I'm doing with the rubbing, compresses all the fibers together, and it makes just a much smoother end product. Since the end product is for me, I'm going to take a little more time. If I was making hundreds of these things, it'd be way faster. I'd find where I put my drill attachment and just do the whole thing with that. And this is just for me and my costume, so I'm not terribly worried about it. Now this one's got these two long loops. I have, somewhere it is, an eyelet punch. Punches oblongs. Makes things way faster. Again, I could just do a drill, or I could drill 2 holes, cut lines. If I have the right tool, I'm going to use the right tool. So, it's punched 4 holes. Now I'm going to take a straight edge and a utility knife and just connect everything together. I'd always like to make a bunch of little cuts as opposed to one super deep cut. I feel you have more control over the multiple little cuts. Look at that. Pretty alright. Now I'm going to edge bevel everything. I'm going to burnish the outside edge. I'm not going to burnish the inside because that's not going to happen. But I am going to bevel everything just because it makes everything look a little neater. I am not going to bevel the front side because I want, like I said, these edges where everything meets up to be nice and crisp. But that's it. Now I'm going to go grab some water. We're going to wet the leather, fold a couple of things, and let things dry. I got a nice bowl of water. I just want to crimp these edges. It'll make putting everything back together so much easier. So I'm just going to get them wet. I probably let it soak a little longer than, because I've seen a lot of people just dip and they're done. I'm going to let it soak for a few seconds. And I'm only giving it about, I'd say, inch-ish. And they don't have to be sharp 90-degree turns either. Well, 90, yeah, but I fold it all the way over like this, and when it rebounds a little bit, it should straighten itself out pretty nice. Since this is a wider one, I'm probably going to end up putting 2 on it. Mainly because I have 2 to put on there, so I might as well. And I am just guessing at the size, going off of what I did last time. That seems to be my MO. So there. Now I'm just going to wait, let it do its thing, and get back in a little bit. Let's see where we're at. There we go. Looks about right. So I'm going to start with the bottom one. Just going to line the 2 edges up roughly and drill a hole. Should get something to drill on too. prefer using a drill to a punch, just because I feel it's cleaner and faster. I, of course, am using Chicago screws. I don't glue it down just because I don't. I don't really have a reason. Do the same thing for this side. I always feel like there should be more, you know? Like I should be, oh, here's the secret to costuming. There isn't one. I suppose the biggest secret that I have that I don't even hide really is ordering things in bulk. Yeah, that's pretty alright. Like these screws that I'm using, I order a ton of them. Just an absolute ton. So I'm just kind of lining it up with the edge. It's got kind of an arc to it. Before I do this, I want to double check. Make sure that does fit where I think it should. Yeah, it does. A little weird, right? Holes are a little off center. Not a big deal. It's not going to be noticed because it's mostly covered up. If you look, these kind of mushroom out around them. So like I was saying, the biggest secret I have is that I buy hardware just constantly, right? I had no idea if I'd need any of these screws for anything else. I bought them primarily for Jedi stuff. And then realized how useful they were. Now I use them for everything. I just buy them in bulk, right? Buy them by the 100. And if I were to say there's a secret to the stuff I do, it's that I tend to pre-plan and get lucky and not, you know, have to wait for things to arrive. It's that in the meantime that people tend to lose focus and goals and things just kind of go by the wayside. If you have the stuff to do the thing you want to do right away, you tend to do it more often. It's when you have to wait for materials that people tend to halter the most. So, you know, I tend to order extra materials, and then whenever I get the fancy, I just do it. Whenever the mood strikes. Like this thing, I didn't need to make another PKE meter holder, but I want to be able to have multiple accessories. I want to know that if Kim wants to wear hers and I want to wear mine, we can, or if, you know, heaven forbid Faith wants to do it. So I've intentionally overlapped a little bit on this so it sticks out just a touch. That way I can sand it down, make everything look nice and even. But this stuff is so much easier to do than it looks. Let me grab my rotary tool real quick. I'll be right back. Alright. We got us brand new 80 grit, looks like. Set that down. Just smooths everything together, right? I think it makes a huge difference. I could easily dye the whole thing in place. I'm not going to, but I could. I'm going to take everything apart. Everything. All 6 screws of it. And I have, of course, I'm going to use same stuff I used last time. The scuff cover. Works fantastic. My table has exploded. Yeah, what the heck. It's just 6 screws, so I'm going to take these 6 off. I'm going to dye both sides, and then I'm going to put everything back together. You're probably not going to watch the whole thing. If I did, you wouldn't watch the whole thing. Slowly realizing I forgot paper towels. Alright, I'm going to let that sit for a minute while I go grab some paper towels. Not that I had to go very far to find them, but still. Again, something to keep in mind, this is leather dye, and you are made of leather. So, if you're trying not to make yourself dyed, wear gloves. Wear clothing that's easily replaceable. This sweatshirt, it's not replaceable. What am I doing? Not caring. And I should, but I don't. So we've hit the stage where I've got a couple spots where the tan is still showing through, but I don't think I care enough. So I'm going to put everything together and then I'm going to let it dry, like completely. A little bit of touch-up. The Ghostbuster prop, it's supposed to be a little used and abused. It doesn't mean it has to start out that way. That's it. We're done. Done. So here it is. Completed with a PKE meter in it and everything. It looks really good. It's fantastic. It will go with my costume amazing, and it'll blend in with everything else and just be an extra piece that's added. It's leather work, right? And we all go, oh, leather work's complicated. It's not. Leather work is easy. This level of leather work, super simple. Achievable. Not a thing that you can't do, right? If you get into the super detailed stuff, like the Tom Wren level stuff, man, that guy's amazing. I'm not doing anything close to him. I'm just making cool belt accessories for my costume. Which, oddly enough, looks just like my other one. This one's a little nicer. I curved a couple edges that I didn't do on the other one. My belt loops look a little neater. I mean, it's the second one. The second one's always going to look better than the first, right? They turned out well, and I'm very happy with it. It's achievable. All of this extra little stuff onto the costume makes the costume seem more in-world. And I highly recommend you don't look at a thing and go, oh, I can't do that. You can do it. Give it a shot. It's just, it's not that much in leather. It took, what, 2-3 hours? That's with me filming, taking breaks here and there. It's not a long project, especially something this simple. You can do this. Add this to your costume. You might like it. So if this is your thing, you know, there's a, I don't even know anymore. YouTube changes so much stuff. Like and subscribe. Maybe throw me a comment if you know you think it. If not, it's not. Hopefully I'll see you next time.